You know that saying, I think it was Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, they give him the credit. When you argue with an idiot, who's really the idiot? Now, back in 1976, CB radios were really heating up, and I was working part-time in the Radio Shack. And a lot of people would come in and they'd pick my brain, and they'd ask all these real technical questions, even though they really didn't understand the answers. It was really annoying. So this one guy, his name was Richard Balk or something like that. The last name was like Balk, whatever that is. Is it German? I don't know. But he worked in the J.C. Penney changing tires. And he really didn't like the job. He wanted more out of life. And he got into CB radio and picked my brain, picked the other guy who worked with me's brain, and talked to the manager. So he decides to put a CB radio in the car. And instead of using RG, I think it was 59, RG59, he used RG8, which is real thick in diameter. And he ran it from the radio down through the channel by the two doors and into the trunk. And he couldn't get the SWR right. And he come in and he starts going, he's getting on me. You told me that the white fiberglass antennas, the 4-footers, they have like a load up at the top. They almost always right on with the SWR. Mine's way off. The red light's on. Blah 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 blah. I said no problem. I said pull the car up in the fire zone in front of the store. Walk out real fast and check it. You know, and he said, I use RGA. He's bragging, right? So he had a trunk, a bumper mount. It's got like a chains, and then over the chains is metal, plastic tubing, so the water can get trapped in there, so the chain can rust. It was a Radio Shack mount, and a lot of people used that mount for the 108-inch whip, whatever it was, with the spring. But then a lot of people didn't like that thing whipping around on their car, so they started switching over to this 4-foot antenna that had a load up at the top. You could, well, anyway, I think it was made by Shakespeare for everybody. And he had it. I walked out and I looked at the bumper mount and everything, and I noticed the hot for the antenna was coming out and going under the car. And I'm like, where's the ground? Oh, it's grounded. You don't think I know about grounding? He goes off. He's like shaking his head, throwing his hands. What a stupid question. I said, open the trunk. Opens the trunk. And in some old cars, there used to be like a rim facing up, welding point. And there is a electrical box feed through that the hole's been drilled, it's been mounted, and the RG8 is going up to that, and that's where it's grounded. Now he takes the white center conductor, runs it all the way like a foot and a half out of the bottom of the trunk and up into the antenna. I said, you can't do that. Why can't I do that? And he's like, I said, I'll just tell you this once. When you do something like that, you terminate the ground back further. That foot and a half makes that antenna electrically longer. So I said, you asked me for my help. I'm telling you what you did wrong. You have to bring the ground along with the center conductor out to the termination point. And he's just staring at me. So anyway, what happened was he had bought a piece of RG58 or RG8 with a terminal on each end, and he cut it off, and that's basically what he used. So he knew he'd have to buy another one because the ground now wasn't long enough. But I give him 100 points for neatness. He did a really neat job, and I understood RF because I went to school. Now the other guy that worked with us, he came out and looked at it. He didn't see anything wrong with it. Well, the braid is grounded and the hot is going to the antenna. I'm like, the ground has to be terminated at the antenna. You can't run the ground one way and then the hot the other way, because that's how you make a dipole antenna. And now the two of them are looking at me. Well, dipole, what's he talking about? See, that's the problem. When you argue with an idiot, who's really the idiot? So I'm going to tell you right there, I was the idiot. What I should have said to him, because he had pulled a quick one on me. Well, I won't go into that. But when Richard Bork says something to me and he opened that trunk, I said, for $20, I'll tell you what you did wrong. But I wasn't that kind of guy. I technically explained to him what he did wrong. It wasn't the RG8 that he used. Bumper mount was mounted correctly. He used the right antenna. He ran the wire up to the front of the car correctly. He just terminated the ground one place and then ran the antenna another foot and a half, or the hot another foot and a half, and hooked it to the hot of the antenna, would be the bumper mount. That was all done correctly, but he just added a foot and a half electrically to that antenna, which is also, it had a load at the top. And that was the big selling feature. You'd hold that antenna up and you have someone run their hand along the antenna and it would get fatter towards the top. And that was a spiral wound piece of wire up in there, and that was the load. It was called a top load. And it was so funny, you know, I still think about that guy to this day, screaming at me. He asked me for my help. I told him what he did wrong. Now, most guys would come out there and, gee, I can't see what's wrong. You know, you got the ground where ground goes, and you got the hot where hot goes. But I knew right away, I was like, you're not going to get good SWR. I've seen some other stuff. We won't go into it, but I just want to tell you, when you argue with an idiot, who's really the idiot? And what really burned me, and to this day it annoys me, is when someone asks me for my help, and I tell them what they did wrong, they yell at me like it's my fault. Now, one of the best ones was a guy across the street. I waved to him. So one day he comes up to me and says, I hear you can fix radios. I have a really good Kenwood or whatever it is in the house. And I said, I don't fix radios anymore. I can't get the parts. Well, you can go into town and there's a ham radio club and they can get you the parts. And I'm like, nah, that's bullshit. I just called bullshit on that. I said, they don't carry parts for the public. I was like, I had to go. And that's what I'm starting to do. Now, this same guy walks over to me the other day and he says, I need to rent your driveway. And I said, no. What do you mean, no? I said, I don't rent my driveway out. I don't want your dripping car on my driveway. My car don't drip. Yeah, it does. I know it does because you got kicked out of the parking lot that you rent. He rents. He's not allowed to park his car over there because it's dripping oil. So he wanted to park it in my driveway, supposedly pay me a monthly fee. And then when he's gone to work, I walk across the driveway, step in the oil, and then track it into the house. That ain't going to happen. But I'm getting better at not letting people push me around. And then when anybody talks to you around here, they want something. I go around and tell people, hey, did you see, we had a fire on the house on the end there while you were at work. Oh, you did? And I tell them stuff like that. But people here, they keep stuff as secrets. And only if you start talking, you'll watch their face and you can see they already know, but they'd never tell you. And that's the game here. I think that's it. All right, that's it.